Hey guys, it's Luke Jones with Indie Windows. Today we're going to be taking a look at Windows 8 on a touchscreen device. So we're going to do kind of a tutorial on how to use Windows 8 on a touchscreen device. And what I'm using here is a Surface RT, and it's running Windows RT, which for all intents and purposes is the same as Windows 8, except that I can't install desktop applications on here. But everything that we're going to go over on the Windows RT will apply to Windows 8 as well. So this is just going to be like a basic video on how to do some of the essential things that you need to be able to use Windows 8. And this is my personal start screen here. So if you see some stuff going on, it's all mine. Okay, so the first thing that you see is a grid of tiles, which this is called the start screen, and it replaces the start menu that we had on previous versions of Windows. And you can just flick through the start screen. It can be as long as you want it to be, so you can have an unlimited, as far as I know, an unlimited number of apps on your start screen. Each of these tiles is called a live tile. Not all of them are alive with data, where you'll see some of these refreshing and showing different information as they go through. Not all of them do that. The messaging app, for one, doesn't really show. I mean, if you get a new message, it'll show it, but for the most part, it doesn't really do anything. It's more of just an indicator, sort of like the mail app here shows you how many new emails you have. So for a live tile, there are several options that you can set up. So to access that, what we'll do is just find a tile that we want to change. So let's say OneNote, and you just do a little drag down and let go. I don't know if you saw it. It's like giving it a check, just sort of like, just like that. All right, like the sound effects. And that's all there is. You just do that, and it checks it. So now down here you have a toolbar, which has the options for that live tile. Not all live tiles have the same options. So you'll see for this live tile we have unpin from start and uninstall. That's it. For other live tiles, like let's try the calendar, we have more. So we have unpin from start, uninstall, smaller, which means we can make that live tile a single tile as opposed to a double wide tile. We could just make it a single wide tile. It still is a live tile, so it's still updating, showing me the date and that type of information, but now it's just in a single square. We can go back to a large tile. Also, you can turn the live tile off. So if it's an application that you don't really care, you just run it. You don't really care for it to bubble up the data inside of it. You don't care for it to be alive. You can just turn that off. So just turn it off, and now it's a static live tile that will launch my calendar whenever I tap it. But other than that, it's not going to give me any other information. Turn it back on, because that's a pretty useful one to have a live tile on. Some of these, they aren't so useful to have. Like on Nook, I turned that off just because all it does is show magazine like images and different things like that. It doesn't really give you any useful information. So I turned that off. I don't know that it saves you. I would assume that it would save you some sort of, I'm sure it's doing some sort of processing or something, so you may save some battery or something like that by having less live tiles on. I haven't really looked into that, but that might be a reason to do that. So the next thing that we're going to look at is groups. So a live tile is a group of live tiles are in their own little groups, and they're separated by a space. So you'll see they're separated by a space here, but it's a big space here. That indicates that that's the end of that group, and this is a new group. So, and then groups also can have headings. So up at the top you'll see this one is called social, this one's called video, I've created these, audio, games, sports, tools, different tools that you want to use. I have a productivity one, guitar music, and then websites. This is where I pin all the websites that I like, and then some other things, some things for my espresso maker. So you can create groups, and the way to create groups on Windows 8 with touch is pretty cool. All you do is you've done the pinch to zoom before, you just sort of zoom out. So you would zoom out, and now you can see all of your groups. And if you want to name a group, say we wanted to name this our main group, you would just do the tap just like you would on a tile. So when you go out, just do the little pull down. You can name it. Let's say we want to call it main. Name it. And there you go. And then you can just tap and it'll go back. Or you could just zoom in, right? And from there you can also rearrange your groups. So let's go ahead and zoom out again. Let's say we wanted to move social after games, right? So we can just grab it and then you pull until it lets go. So it's kind of like it's trying to hold on, and then eventually it'll just sort of like snap and let go. And then you can drag it around and drop it wherever you want it to go. So there we go, we just moved the group. I don't think I went over that. That's how you move tiles around as well. So if you want to move a tile, SkyDrive, you pull it until it lets go. And then you can drag it wherever you want. So it's kind of cool. For creating a new group, let's say you wanted to add a new group, all you would do is pick the tile that you want to be in the new group. So say you want to make like a fitness group, right? So you got all these fitness apps like Fitbit and Endomondo. So you pull it, let it until it lets go, drag it over to the space between the groups, and then you'll see it makes a space. You get this little bar. When you get the bar, you can just drop it, and now we have a new group. So now I can take Fitbit, pull it down, drag it over, and drop it into my new group. Resize, check it, name it. If I could spell. And there we go. So now we have our fitness group. And we can rearrange some of these. So you want to make that one smaller. So there you go. That's tiles and groups. Next we're going to check out, so on one with the touch screen, Windows 8, you don't use zones like you would with a keyboard and mouse setup. What you use is gestures. So the gestures that you need to know for Windows 8 are in from the bottom. I don't know if it'll do anything on here. In from the bottom, yeah, well, it brings up the toolbar. So whatever app you're in, if you go outside, so you're not touching the actual screen that's displaying anything, it's outside. You go in from the bottom, swipe in from the bottom, it will display the toolbar. Sometimes you get a toolbar at the top too. For like an example, let's open Internet Explorer. We'll go to, let's go to Indie Windows. That's a good idea. So there we go, and if you wait a little while, or if you just tap on the screen, I think after it's done loading, it will go full screen. These are called full screen apps, and the toolbar goes away. So basically you have all 100% of your screen is taken up with the content that you're looking at, which is really, really a neat thing about Windows 8 that I really like. But if you want to get your toolbar again, say you want to go to a different page, or you wanted to type in a different URL, or do, like, say you wanted to save it or share it or do whatever with this page, you need to open up the toolbar. So all you do is you go in from the top or in from the bottom. So in from the top, in from the bottom is going to bring up your toolbars. So here you can create a new tab. You know, you get all of the information. We're not going to go really into all of the little things about Internet Explorer. Maybe we'll save that for another video, but that's how you access your toolbars for an app. The next gesture that you're going to want to know is the way to go back. So if you want to go back to an app that you were just in, say we wanted to go back to Internet Explorer, it's swipe in from the left. So swiping in from the left is going back. So we do that, and we're going back, and now we're back in Internet Explorer. If you want to open up a list of all of the apps that you currently have open, you swipe out. Oh, sorry, I only have one app open, so let's open up one more. Let's open up Maps. Okay, so now you know exactly where I am. Okay, so if you want to go back to, or if you want to see a list of all the apps that you have open, you swipe in and then go back. And you'll get a list. So now you see I have Internet Explorer open. It's the only other application I have open. But if I had more, let's say we open up another one. Let's open up Woot. Okay, so now in and back. And now I see Maps and Internet Explorer. And from here I can just tap on these and it will open them. Another way for me to open them is I can drag them out and drop it and it'll open it. And then another thing you can do is called snapping, which if I wanted to snap Internet Explorer, I can go out, pull it to the side. So you see it makes a little space, it makes a space for it. Hard to see with my hand right in the way, but and then it will resize that application to fit in this little window. So I've got a map going on and I've got my internet browsing window over here. If I wanted the map to be small and the browsing window to be bigger, just slide it over. There's this little, there's a bar right here with a couple of dots on it that you can drag it around so you can pick which side you want it to be. And you can also snap, you can also drag something to the other side. So say if I wanted my Internet Explorer on that side, I can do it that way too. Okay, and these are both, I can still use either one of them. If I had a video playing, I could snap it and have the video playing on this side and be looking at the web on this side. It's pretty neat. Okay, so I'm looking at my notes here. So that's history bar. The next thing we want to do is how do you close an application? So these are open. How do I close it? Well, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is go to the application you want to close and drag it down to the bottom. So you drag all the way from the top down to the bottom, we'll close the application. So let's close this one too. Top to the bottom, let's see. It's having some issues here. I wonder if it has to do with the way, I wonder if it has to do because it was snapped and then I pulled it down. I don't know, Maps is having a problem with closing it. So that gives me an opportunity to show you the other way to close things. I can take an application, drag it out, and then pull it straight down to the bottom from my history bar. And then once you don't have history anymore, you can't go back. So how do you get back to the Windows screen? Hit your Windows button. Every tablet or touchscreen will have a Windows button. That's what you'll tap. Okay, so next is the Charms bar. And the Charms bar, to bring that up, you just go in from the right side. And you'll open up your charms. You'll get your time, your battery level, your connectivity, date. And then on this side, you'll get your charms. So you have search, share, start, devices, and settings. That's another way to get back to start. So if you don't want to tap the button down here, you can just open up your charms, hit start, and it'll bring you back. If you hit start from the start screen, it takes you to the application you were last using, if that makes sense. So I'm on the start screen, flick it out. If I hit start, it's going to take me back to whatever application I was using before I went to the start screen. Same with the button. Button does the same thing. Okay, so search is pretty powerful, and it's how you'll find all, it's a good way for finding all of the apps that you have installed. So just because it's not on your start screen doesn't mean that you don't have it. So you can have apps installed that aren't on your start screen and you want to be able to get to them. So if I want to be able to get to the camera, I could just start typing camera and it will filter down to it. If I want to look at the settings, all I have to do is type settings and it'll do that same search in settings. So now I get the settings that have to do with cameras. So view, scanners and cameras, devices and printers, device manager. And what I've noticed is it doesn't have to be in the name, at least not as far as settings. It doesn't have to be in the name. It's if it has something to do with something that starts with those letters. So the device manager can manage cameras. So it's gonna show you device manager even though device manager doesn't have CAM in the name. I noticed that when I was doing the review or the tutorial for the non-touch version of Windows 8, that it was bringing up things that didn't have the letters that I was searching for, and I think that's why. Also, you can search for files, and then you can search the store. This is where you search apps. You'll see there's a little line here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but there's a little line separating these blue icons from these ones down here. And I can search. The blue icons represent things that pertain to my system. So apps, settings, files, things that are on my computer. Below it are applications that can search. So they have search functionality built in. So store, you can search the store. So I'm searching the store from the same search charm, basically, that I was using to search for apps or settings or files. So it's all right there, and you can swap in and out of all of them really quickly. So if I'm looking on the store, trying to find something that has to do with camera, search again, and there we go. I got all the apps that have camera or have to do with camera. If I wanted to share an application, so let's go to the share. So let's I Spy cameras. Let's say I wanted to share this. I can send a link to I Spy this application in the Windows Store using OneNote. I can save, basically that would be just saving a note. So say I wanted to make sure that I look this app up later, like I'm gonna do a review on it or something. I could store it in my OneNote. I could send it to email. I could send it by email to somebody. I could send it to, I could pick a person from my People hub. I can add it to any apps that allow sharing. So I can tweet it, lots of different things. If I look up devices, I don't really have any devices that can do anything with this application, but let's say I was on a page, say I was in Word, and I wanted to be able to print it out, or I was in OneNote and I wanted to be able to print out my note. I would swipe it over, and if I was connected to a printer, and I hit devices, my printer would show up here, and I could click print, and it would print that note to my printer. So it just basically shows devices that can do something with what you're doing right now, and it will change. So if you're on, so say right now I can share this app, this app screen, this I Spy Cameras app. I can share that. But if I was on something that maybe it didn't allow me to share, or maybe it was like a, trying to think of an example, but we'll say like right here on the start screen, if I hit share, there's nothing to share because I can't share my start screen really. So you can select an app and do things like that. So it knows when. It's context sensitive, so it depends on what the context is for what it will display. Same with devices. So then the last thing is settings. And settings is both context sensitive and it has some static settings. So below this line are settings that will be here no matter what app that you're in. Above the line are settings that only have to deal with the app or screen that you're currently on. So right now, these settings have to deal with my start screen. So I can pick tile settings. So these are settings that have to do with tiles. I can get help on the start screen. And then down here I can see my connectivity, volume, screen, brightness is what I can do. I can adjust the brightness. notifications, power options, and keyboard. And then I can also access change PC settings, so I can go in here and like personalize and set up notifications, add new users, change the way search works. So if I don't want to search by certain apps, I can remove those apps from the search. My share settings, if I don't want to share with certain apps, I can turn those apps off from showing up when I click share. There's all kinds of little settings in here that you can do. You can play with your, look at your wireless settings, turn Wi-Fi on and off, turn Bluetooth on and off, sync your settings with other computers that you have that are running Windows 8. Lots of different settings here, and we'll get into these in a different video, but right now we're just going to kind of do an overview. So that's settings. So let's say we were in Maps. Let's open up Maps again. And we wanted to look at what were the settings for Maps. So now you'll see the settings above the bar has changed. I have options now for map region and different things. So if you're ever looking for the settings for the app that you're in, they'll always be under settings every time. This little gear will always take you to the settings for whatever context you're currently in, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. And let's see, I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to cover in this video. So real quick overview on of Windows 8 on a touch screen, and I hope it was useful for you. And stay tuned for more tutorials. We're going to be going into depth on some of these things that we covered, and I hope to see you then. Thanks, and remember to rate and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.